everybody. Welcome to the Team Excellence Call. This is Lynn Gardner calling in from beautiful Virginia, and we've got a little bit of that whole cloudy thing going on again today. I was thinking about how you've got to be careful what you wish for in Virginia. You know, it's probably in the 60s and overcast, and you know, although I look for the sunshine and the warmth, we kind of go from 60 to 160. You know, it gets heated up and humid here really very quickly, so I always have to be careful, you know, what I wish for. But, you know, it's always a pleasure, sincerely, to be with you on this call and to have my chance to do just even a small part to help us unify coast to coast, like we were talking about before the call. It can't be said enough how much I appreciate these calls, no matter what end of the procedure line I'm on. I'm so blessed day after day, and the effort of others I so much appreciate. You know, it is a commitment for them to almost have this call going for forever, you know, every day of the week, and it's such a commitment. I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys as you tune in and the encouraging words that I get for you. I'm just so grateful that once in a while I throw you something out there that can actually help you, you know, with your business. And, you know, so much that could get in our way in those morning calls. You know, so many distractions. You know, there are endless excuses that we could make. Many things that we could surrender to. But, you know, I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad we choose to persevere, right? So you know that, know me by now, and you know that usually I'm inspired by some, you know, life event or some non-business message when I come up for a message to share with you. Today's no different. And I was kind of laughing about it because I remember back in the day when I would be giving messages to my kids, you know, some life learning lesson, and I would be out there with some strange analogy, and they were looking at me like a deer with the headlights, you know. But eventually I brought it, you know, back home and think that the dots all connected. So every week when I come to you with something, I'm thinking, oh, I just pray that I'm able to connect these dots, because I can only see sometimes your expressions like those of my kids, you know, looking at like, what is her point? But, you know, I usually do have a pretty good one that I'm going to share with you. So this message this morning is no different. And frankly, the message this morning was inspired by the Kentucky Derby. Wow, what an inspiration for this call, right? The Kentucky Derby, you know, is a highlight for me every year. It brings back a lot of memories. I love the race. It was a tradition in our family to watch it together. And, you know, we'd all try to pick the winning horse. You know, when we were little, it would be which one's pretty. You got a little older, it's like which one looks feisty, you know, and then we came to learn to kind of study their trainers and their track record and things like that. But I love that. So it brings back a lot of memories for me every year. And I love the horses, I love the hats, I love the hype. I even like to hear the crowd singing My Old Kentucky Home. You know, it just kind of gives me goosebumps. And so I've added the Kentucky Derby to my bucket list, if you will. So next year, hopefully when I call in to talk to you, I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky. So that's a goal of mine at least. You know, I had the privilege many years ago to work the auction of the breeder facility in Lexington, Kentucky, where Secretariat was sent after winning the Triple Crown. You know, that said that there's never been and probably never will be another horse like Secretariat. You know, Secretariat was so amazing that he was actually voted the 35th greatest North American athlete in the century. Can you even believe that? By ESPN. He ranked higher than Mickey Mantle. I mean, if you don't follow these things, then that might be a surprise to you, but he was just a magnificent athlete, you know. But, you know, the real money comes, and the real success, if you will, comes after that Kentucky Derby. It takes a lot to get there, but the real rewards come after the race, where millions and millions of dollars are made on stud fees, and that's what happened with Secretariat. He spent out his last days in Lexington, Kentucky, when he was finally euthanized at the age of 19. But, you know, when they autopsied him, they found that he had a heart 3 times the size of a normal horse. His heart was 22 pounds. And it's often said, you know, that Secretariat had such a big heart, and it was that big heart that made him a winner. But, you know, there's a lot of work that takes place to get to that point of running a race like the Kentucky Derby, a whole lot. You don't just, you know, saddle up and run, and no more than we do in our business. It's a lot of work, a lot of prep work. You know, they spend countless hours preparing, and they make sure that they're conditioned and ready, you know, that they're in the best shape that they can be in. And they're not only prepared to run, but they're expecting to win. And that really, you know, kind of correlates with what we believe about our business. You know, every horse that makes it to the Kentucky Derby has a promising future. It doesn't need to be that winner. It doesn't need to even be a Triple Crown winner. It needs to be everybody that makes it to that race. It's an honor, and they all have a promising future if they run the race. And even though they aren't the winner, they're going to reap benefits financially well after that race, because not every horse is good enough to make it to the Kentucky Derby. It's so exciting. Again, it takes so much work and so much preparation, so much effort to put into something that will just really, in that world, last just a few minutes. And it's an honor for any owner or any trainer to get a horse that actually makes it into the race and runs the race. These are the finest, most ready, the most proven. Everybody has high hopes. Everybody thinks that, they're going to be the winner. Everybody's got high hopes, and everybody's working for that. It should sound a little bit familiar to you guys as we think about how, we run our business or how we look toward our business, It's so exciting. It's an honor. And, but everybody with those high hopes, they're only going to win if they leave the gate, aren't they? There's only going to be one big winner, but everybody is a winner. But for all those others, as long as they get out of the gate and as long as they run, they're still winners in the eyes of the world in that realm. They'll be rewarded day after day for those accomplishments. As long as they're running, they will win. But every once in a while, we'll see the gate open and the alarm sounds, and there's a horse that either doesn't leave the gate or leaves far too slowly to even have a snowball's chance. There's one that just hesitates. And not only do they not have a chance to win, they've lost all chance because they either didn't leave the gate or they hesitated too long, but they lose all the opportunities and rewards because they'll forever be known as the horse that just didn't leave the gate. They'll be known as the one that hesitated too long and lost the opportunity. And in many ways, their lack of action means that they're actually going reverse in life. And that can happen to us, It really means that eventually in that world, not only did they lose the opportunity to win, but they really kind of end the day the same way they started it out. They end the day grazing in a field and just being a beautiful horse, but they never got a chance to win. All the potential was lost. They couldn't be rewarded, and they couldn't move forward because they never moved out of the gate. And they end up right back where they belong. And that's exactly the way it is for us. We have a chance to win, but we have to be willing to run that race. And if we all stall at the gate and stand at the gate, and the gate opens, the alarm goes off, and we're still standing there staring at everybody else running, we can't ever win. You can't win unless you get out of the gate. In our business, there's not just one winner. Everybody's a winner. Everybody that runs this race wins, but we got to run the race. And if we don't run that race, in so many ways, we're actually going in reverse. Wouldn't it be horrible to step into this, business and to go through some of the motions, not really ever getting out of the gate. And a few years from now, and after all the little effort that we put in, we look and say, I'm right back where I started. Come on, guys, it doesn't have to be that way. We've got to get out of the gate. We've got to run the race. There'll be some people that we work with, that will run faster and harder than a lot of us will. Maybe they're like the Secretariat in our world. Maybe they have a heart 3 times the size of all the others. I don't mean that physically, but just in terms of their passion and the size of their why and their willingness to get out of the gate. But the fact that they run faster and harder doesn't mean that we can't also reap the benefits of the race too. Just like those horses that I talked about in the Derby. Not everybody is the winner, but everybody wins as long as they're in that race. The same is true for us. As long as we're in the race, we will have rewards. But the question is, will we run the race? Will we get out of the gate? Will we leave the gate and run the race? If we aren't moving forward, then we're likely going in reverse. And there's a big chance that we'll end up at the end of the day right back where we started from if we don't take a step to move forward. These are incredibly exciting times for our company. That's not just hype, guys. You can see it all over the place. You see the growth. And it's finally, when you look at a business that, comes to market, when it gets to that point of just hitting momentum, that's when huge things are happening. That's the Kentucky Derby for us all. And that's really where we are. Huge things are happening. It's the right time. It's the right product. It's the right company. It's the perfect storm for you to be able to run the race and to win the Derby. But it's time to get out of the gate. The time is now. The alarm's going off and the gate's open. I was thinking about, some things and opportunities really in life where people, could have chosen to get out of the gate. The ones that got out of the gate were big winners. And the ones that sat back with excuses and refused to do the work and get into the race lost big. I was thinking about Bill Gates, for instance. Can you imagine him? He was obviously a geeky guy and a head for technology, and he was right at the right place with just the right thing, right at the right time, and he put in, he wasn't born like an Einstein for technology. He put in tens of thousands of hours. Bill Gates didn't get lucky. Bill Gates conditioned for the Derby. And, so he put in all these hours and had a goal, and he had a vision for where he wanted to go. But you know what? He needed help. He wasn't a Lone Ranger no more than we're a Lone Ranger out here. But he needed help, but he couldn't pay them. He couldn't pay the people. And instead, he got a handful of talented people on board, and he worked with them, and he trained them, and he painted a picture of this race, and he painted a picture of the rewards at the end of the race, and instead of a paycheck, they received stock options. They embraced the possibilities. They conditioned themselves right along with Bill Gates. They took the sacrifice of not getting a paycheck, but looking for the rewards, and they all got a lot of wealth because of it. The rest is history. But what about all those people? I've read articles and heard from people that shoulda, woulda, coulda. He came to them and said, well, I'm not going to put forth all that work for, that little paycheck or no paycheck. They didn't see the vision. They didn't get out of the gate. And the gate opened, the alarm sounded, and they sat there. And you know what? Today, they're right where they were before they were introduced to that opportunity. They weren't willing to run the race. They refused. They hesitated. They didn't move forward. And I don't want any of us to do that now. We are on the brink of massive things with the magic. So will you leave the gate? In spite of the hard work, in spite of the sacrifices, in spite of the condition it takes, in spite of all the hard work that it takes to get there, will you leave the gate? Do you want to win? Will you be like Secretariat? Will you run with passion, not looking behind you, not making excuses, but moving forward with determination? Or will you pause at the gate and miss the opportunity? I've got another example. One of my father's childhood friends hesitated, and he lost an immeasurable opportunity that he regretted all the days of his life. And when he died, he probably died not where he started off, worse than he started off, to be honest with you, but he hesitated. You see, my dad's childhood friend met Ray Kroc along the way. They became business associates in certain ways. And Ray painted this vision, just like Bill Gates did. He painted the vision of duplicating efforts. And Ray could see it as sure as it was sitting in front of him. He could see the potential. He had a heart, for his mission, like Secretariat had a heart for the run. He had passion, and he was ready to run the race. But no matter what Ray said, and no matter how much he painted this picture and made it beautiful, or tried to make it beautiful, for my father's friend to run with him, my father's friend refused. He didn't see it. He couldn't see the vision. He stayed at the gate. The gate was open. The alarm's going off, and my father's friend just hesitated. He did approach Ray Kroc, after he started seeing some success out there. He said, hey, man, maybe I need to rethink this. But he'd lost his opportunity, just like the horses that sit at the gate, And so do we want to leave the gate? Do we want to miss out on this huge opportunity too? Every single person that runs this race will win, just like the Kentucky Derby. Yes, there are going to be people out there that, just can't even measure, their success in so many ways. Maybe they just ran harder, their why was bigger, they have a heart the size of Secretariat. But everybody runs this race will win. So are you running the race with passion, or are you hesitating at the gate? We can hesitate at the gate, and there's no end to the excuses that we can make for why we aren't moving forward. But when you really look at people that have seen already tremendous success in our business, there weren't any excuses. They didn't sit there and say, I need to learn how to do a demo, and I need to get an ORP meter, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. No, they conditioned for it. They worked on themselves, and they got out there boldly. When that alarm went off and the gate opened, they started running. And so where are we? This is one of those times in our business. Again, it is we are just starting to see tremendous growth. And if you sit at the gate and you don't move out of that gate, one day you're going to say, oh, man, look at it. And you might even make excuses and say, well, I could have done that if, or I would have done that if. You can sit at that gate all you want to, but, just like the horse that never leaves the gate, there's not a good enough excuse. The only thing that matters is he never left the gate, so he didn't have a chance to run, and he never had a chance to win. And so we've got to keep moving forward. If we don't leave the gate, really in a big way, or, we go in reverse. Someday we'll look at life and say, I'm right back where I started from. Do we really want that? We are so blessed. Everybody that's, in this business, involved in this business, on board with this business, we have just an amazing opportunity in so many ways. So many wonderful people, amazing leaders, profound products. There's no end to all those things. But what you also have is you have a chance at the Kentucky Derby. It's time to win. It's a perfect storm. It's a perfect time to get on board with this business and put forth the effort. And we need to do what it takes to be a winner. We need to be willing to make the sacrifices. Again, you get all the horses up to the gate. They didn't just saddle up and ride in here. It took a whole lot of work. But the rewards are immeasurable when you get to that point. It's victory time. The gate opens, the alarm goes off, and everybody in our business will win as long as we're moving forward. There's not just one winner. There's no more than there's just one person, running the race. And, I'm going to kind of leave this with a Jim Rohn quote that I love, and he says, don't mistake movement for achievement. It's easy to get faked out by being easy. The question is, what are you busy doing? It's easy to get faked out by being busy. Busy things that don't matter to anything. Busy practicing drops, busy practicing a meter, busy getting on another call or another thing that you can do to hesitate getting out of that gate. But the question is, busy doing what? We need to be busy moving forward. And just like that Kentucky Derby, there needs to be a why out there, a purpose out there, a reason to do what we're doing. If you lack that, I cannot say, none of us can ever say the importance of understanding what's your why, what's your purpose, because see, that's what brings forth that passion, that Secretariat kind of passion, where you get out of bed and you do what you got to do to condition yourself, and eventually you run yourself into the gate, and the gate opens and the alarm goes off, you're running towards success. So I leave you with that, guys. If you're going to run the race, you got to leave the gate. And I would hope that you understand that the timing of everything in your life, nothing happens by mistake. It's not a mistake that you're here. It's not even a mistake that you're on this call today. It's not a mistake that a magic found you or you found a magic. None of it's a mistake. And it's not a mistake with the timing right now in your life if you'll just leave the gate and start running. And so that's what I hope for you. Reevaluate your why, work on your passion, and remember, we all win if we just run this race, okay? So don't hesitate at the gate. You keep running forward, and we all win. I'll see you guys at the top. I'll see you at the Kentucky Derby, and I'll definitely see you next Thursday. Make it a great day, guys. Bye-bye. Goodbye.